Justin Jefferson asked for his unconditional release. Leader Fan Radio Network.
But you know what?
And KFAN. That's KFAN.com. 2 minutes, 30 seconds past the hour, 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. Welcome back. Monday edition. Bumper to bumper program on a calm after the Snownami Monday afternoon here in the Twin Cities that we affectionately refer to as Minneapolis and St. Paul. My name is Dan Barreiro. I am the host of the program, and looky here. Look who is back. It's our guy, Guardsy, back once again. Did you even recognize the place at this point?
Well, you never forget the iHeart Radio red, the color that's just plastered all over our walls. So it's like coming home again. When you see that iHeart red, you know where you are. So, yes, key card work, that was good. Had a parking spot, that was fine. And doesn't sound like I missed a lot when it comes to Vikings football, except debacles and disasters.
A lot of debacles, a lot of disasters, and a lot of difficulties. We're going to try to cover almost all of it, while at the same time I'm trying to get myself logged in with this new...
So we have a new text line now?
You don't even want... It's the same text line, but the security apparently has been an issue.
Interesting.
And so each time now you have to type in a verification code sent to your email.
That's a little tricky.
Which is tricky. Verify. Oh, it actually worked this time. Yesterday did not even work. But the good news is it looks like it's up and going, and people are, not surprisingly, already chiming in via 64686, the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. It has already begun. I think this is the first day I noticed nationally the itch being scratched. And that was the Vikings left with no choice but to trade away Justin Jefferson.
Happened fast.
It was and once it's one of those deals nationally because they all steal from one another. Once the genie's out of the bottle, especially if the Vikings keep losing and if the Vikings keep getting shut out and Justin Jefferson keeps having games in which he catches 2 passes. Was it 2 passes for 4 yards? It's one of our Vikings talking points.
It is.
2 catches for 4 yards, that it will be an out of control, impossible to stop viral movement. Because especially when a really good player is in flyover country, there's this arrogance that, well, he's being wasted there. We've got to get him to a much better place, and presumably that's often a much bigger city where he'll have a chance to thrive, and the whole country will get a chance to enjoy him in a way that they're not going to enjoy him because the Vikings are not going to have any games flexed, the fan has learned, the rest of the 2025 season. It was as bad as... I'll back up and say this. I think I have a fairly vivid imagination, and I certainly am capable of projecting negativity. But not in my wildest dreams. Now, I'll also grant, I didn't necessarily expect that he would throw for 456 yards.
Like Mooch?
A la what Mooch said, kind of tongue-in-cheek, and I had said via Twitter that you took the over, or would probably take the over on that. I'm not saying I expected that, but I will flat out tell you, I did not expect it to be as deplorable offensively as it was virtually from start to finish. We're in territory now that, well, we have talked about this. I mean, you don't want to just be just mediocre. You want to be really, really, really hideous, as, for example, the Twins have from time to time been able to sort of go that particular route.
We know it's not good baseball.
The stat that the analytics people all love, and that even the ink-stained wretches and the media jackals quote, is something called DVOA. Do you know what DVOA stands for? Because I don't. I just know it's fancy.
Yeah, I'm sure Alec Lewis and Ben Gessling have told us before. I'm sure Seifert has as well. I don't remember.
Here's another way to, I think, confirm what I believe. See, part of me says, well, if you've watched the games, you don't need any analytic confirmation of how historically hideous this offense has been, and now two of their quarterbacks have been, including your guy yesterday, Mr. Brosmer.
Defense-adjusted value over average.
Thank you.
It measures team and player efficiency on a play-by-play basis.
Thank you. So now, according to the experts, this season alone, the Viking, and this, by the way, goes back as far as 1978, so that's 22 plus 25, almost 50 years. This season alone, by DVOA, your favorite football team has had 2 of their 9 worst offensive performances by that particular stat. Do you want to guess? If you don't know this, if you haven't cheated and heard it already, do you want to guess? So, by the way, for the record, one of those was yesterday in Seattle.
Makes sense. I would hope.
What was the other that this year, 2 of our worst 9 in the last 50 years have both taken place analytically this season? You care to guess what the other one was this season?
Was it the Chargers Thursday night game?
No, which would be a good guess, but it's not.
It the Pittsburgh game?
No, it was not.
Was it the Falcons game?
Falcons game.
There we go.
Second game of the year, right?
Yes.
Second game of the year.
With new father, J.J. McCarthy.
So, what week is this, 13?
Yes.
So, this is, the DVOA on this game, yesterday's game, was the worst in the last 50 years for the Minnesota Vikings offensively, right?
Many of us are frustrated with...
No, certainly are. The second worst DVOA in the last 50 years in Vikings history. And this is, the old timers will appreciate this as another confirmation of just how bad this is. Number 2 on the list in the last 50 years, the Les Steckel year.
Oh,
Game 1, 1984. The infamous Les Steckel year. And here's what's scary. Again, I'm not good at math. I've proven that. Neither are you.
Correct.
But the DVOA for this game it's listed as minus 96.8. That's actually 28 points worse than what's number 2 for the Vikings the last 50 years. That Steckel game, week 1 of the season against the San Diego Chargers. And by the way, on that occasion, they scored 13 points. But if the DVOA matters, the idea that this was 30 percentage points worse than that one kind of tells you all you need to know, does it not? So we're in. I have to add this though. There's a lot of today. So far to me has been, it's a postmortem day, obviously, but it's also a day where KOC is getting some credit for, after today, especially during today's presser, full transparency and full pelfdom, that he has awarded himself a full pelf in taking accountability, especially regarding the hideous 4th and 1 call, which will be one of our talking points. That
appears a couple times today.
It does appear a couple times today. You're exactly right. But I'm here to tell you that it means nothing to me. Let me make this as clear as I can. I don't believe Kevin O'Connell has learned anything. I just don't. We've been here to varying degrees too many times before. Again, I don't think it's his fault that he's had to work with as many unprepared to play at the professional level quarterbacks the last few years, whether it's because of injury. What year did we have Pasternak? Is that 2 years ago?
That was a couple years ago when Cousins got hurt. Or
in this case, young quarterbacks who just aren't ready for the bit, whatever it is. I'm not going to blame him for that, but I am going to blame him for quite frankly, never being able to accept the limitations that those quarterbacks represent, and that should, from the beginning, change everything about the way he does his business. Here's the quote Kevin Seifert, who's going to join us tomorrow, had that, to me, says it all. The biggest thing is what you're seeing coverage-wise. It needs to take a back seat to what is the best thing for our offense in that moment, if I'm in full transparency of that. Things that I may see, chances to maybe get an in-cut screaming or high crosses running or vertical chances that have kind of always gave us the lift in games. That sounds really transparent, and I'm going to look in the mirror where you go, hey, but shouldn't he have figured that out a long time ago to varying degrees, depending on who the quarterback was? That's why I still don't believe him. I don't think he can help himself. He needs to go to passing rehab, where all coaches who simply want to look pretty need to go at some point to be, I think, broken down to be built back up. One of the guys who could teach him happens to be the head coach for the Chicago Bears right now, Ben Johnson. But I digress. Because it's being hailed as, finally, he gets it. He finally gets it.
Right.
You're going to tell me, in all seriousness, that you get so aroused and so lost in that coverage screams for that play. I don't care what the circumstances of my team are. I don't care who the quarterback is. I'm going to roll his ass out. And I think you and I will both agree. You're a Bros Marobo. I am too, not as on your level. But I wouldn't say rolling him out as a pro is necessarily going to be the bread and butter if Max Brosmer ever becomes a legitimate starting NFL quarterback. So you're going to tell me that because that's what I have to do. So it doesn't matter what the condition, the delicate condition of your team, the circumstances in the game, by the way, in which your defense is playing very well, the fact that you do have two legitimate running backs, even if they haven't been running great in this particular game, and a quarterback who's just playing in his first game ever, that matters at this level, but it was screaming. It was screaming at me, this has to be the play. If he didn't already know that before the game began, he's not going to figure it out now. It's too late, isn't it?
It is. And it's amazing to watch him do it again with another guy. And Brosmer, as you know, I love Brosmer, so I can see why he would lose himself in Brosmer's eyes during the week.
Yes. Well, that was enough. Here, do you see the other what's the opposite of doing somebody a favor? Is it doing somebody a disservice or disfavor?
Yep.
Did you hear it in the broadcast? Because they said it a couple times. Word on the street, what we're hearing from the Vikings coaches, the ball with Brosmer never touched the ground in practice all week.
Right.
Stop saying crap like that. It does nothing. It means nothing, because we heard a lot of the same stuff about JJ.
We hear it about every NFL quarterback.
You're exactly right.
It's the NFL.
You're not helping your quarterback's cause, building him up, fluffing him up to that level. It just doesn't work, but go ahead.
Do you want to pause? Because you want to straddle?
Yeah, I forgot. We do have a guest at 3:30. His name is not Adam Thielen.
Not yet.
We're going to get you more on that in a minute. We'll give you the rest of the guest lineup. We've got Vikings talking points to get to, and when we return, it's inevitable. We might as well get it out of the way now. The curse continues. That's next. I think most of you know that Adam Thielen has been released by the Minnesota Vikings. He apparently asked for his release a week ago. He's been granted that. And he has, of course, issued a statement via his X account with what you would expect. Disappointed the way it finished second time around, right?
Sure.
Thanking everybody for the opportunity, etc. And the idea here is he's going to try to latch on someplace where he might have a chance to play. I have no idea. I mean, Carolina is obviously one of the better bounce-back stories this year. I have no idea if they might be looking for another wide receiver that has some experience there and some traction there. I'm not sure. But obviously, he ordinarily would be with us at 3:30 as he's been all year. Now, Guardsy did reach out to him to text him to offer up, obviously, anytime he wants to come on with us as an exit interview. So far, I don't think he's responded. But if he does and we get him later or a different day, we will. I'll be glad to do it. We've enjoyed having him on. We appreciate the effort that he has made. It is sadly undeniable that there seems to be a bit of a bumper-to-bumper curse related to Vikings regular guests.
Excuse me?
Over the years on this program. And a number of people, the good thing is we never have to worry about being the ones to say it. The listeners, they catch up on this. They're way ahead of us.
Immediately.
Almost immediately.
Yeah.
And they're
before we could even
jumping
say it.
on it. Yeah. They were naming people I'd forgotten we had on as regulars.
I know.
And so the list goes, I mean, I don't have it sequentially, but Jordan Hicks is one, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Our guy Cam Beasy.
Yeah.
Cam Bynum is another.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Thielen is another.
The latest.
Patrick Peterson.
We're still waiting for that exit
interview, which he promised us, but it hasn't had. Now he's on Sirius XM a lot.
He should be. He was tremendous.
He's very good, and we made him. No one ever thought of him as a good talker who was on our show.
Year 14 in the NFL, they finally realized it.
Who else is on the list who have basically either been fired or not re-signed? I guess if we're including coaches, it has to be Mike Zimmer.
Yeah.
Leslie Frazier. And who was the assistant coach we had on for
Andre Patterson?
Terrific. Andre Patterson
was great.
Was a tremendous guest. So is that 7?
It is. Can you take credit for Tice? That was before my time. Now, he had a pretty good run.
He did have a pretty good run.
So did Zimmer, by the way.
Yeah. In fairness, we have to factor that in. All head coaches do get fired. So I don't know if we can be held responsible for the curse.
But the head coach, after the head coach stuff, because we used to have all of them. You had Tice, then we had Zimmer.
Yeah.
I don't know if we did Childress. I don't think you did Childress.
No, we did not have a good vibe with Childress at all.
But
at any point.
Well, the only time was when we were trying to get Favre, and he came out to Maynard's in the first summer that we had. And he came out, had a couple of beers, was just living his best life, trying to get Brett Favre. We didn't get him that year.
Yeah.
He came the next year. But so after the head coaches, everybody that you just mentioned, it has not been good. I forgot about Hicksy.
Yeah, I did too.
Hicks was great too.
Very good. Yeah, they were all outstanding. So I mentioned to the program director, Chad Abbott, that if Justin Jefferson raises his hand to be a regular the rest of this year, that should be alarm bellish to the Vikings or as an organization.
It should be.
Because it might well mean, well, everybody else's goes, maybe I can go next. I don't exactly know. So my guess is we're not going to have a regular the rest of the way. There's only 5 games left anyway,
That's
correct?
true, yeah.
And everybody, I mean, the snarky gallows humor, it's on via the text line. Can you get KOC as your next guest?
Oh, man.
We're turning on him.
Unbelievable. Coach of the year last year.
Was he last year Coach of the Year?
I think he was. Where does Case Keenum factor in? Because he became a de facto regular guest that season.
Yeah, you're right.
And he started doing it out of habit and good luck.
Yes.
He kept wanting to do it, and we said, are you sure?
Yeah, he did.
And they said he thinks he's got a routine. He's one of these guys. He likes doing it.
Well, can we really be held responsible for the fact that they chose not to bring him back because he was ready to come back?
He was.
I don't know.
And Denver got him paid. He's playing for your Bears now, isn't he?
Well, he's the hidden factor. Everybody used to think and making it seem it's Ben Johnson. Maybe it's the Case Keenum factor.
I ruled nothing out. I love Keenum.
He's got, he's got that extra thing going. Now, as a starter, it didn't work, obviously, when he left here, but it's worked every place else. Tay-Train? Are we forgetting about him?
We had him, and then Dalvin Cook kind of flip-flopped.
That's true,
We had Cook for a year or two.
But, in a sense, isn't this just about we've been on the air a long time? Players do come and go. I'm not sure we can be held responsible for all of those comings and goings.
At this rate, though?
Yeah.
They're here for a year, and then they're gone. Tay-Train was here for a little while. Dalvin Cook obviously was here for a while. But it seems like it's accelerated the last handful of years.
612 guy writes, the only one who stayed is Mike Conley.
And his role's reduced.
That's true. Although he had a massive 3 to save their ass.
It was great.
They were going to blow another game.
I know.
And then he hit a three. It changed everything in the corner.
I think we're going to have him this week because it's a Conley week. Have you seen the video of that, though? You have to ask him about this because it is funny. I think Michael Grady put it on Instagram. He hits the three, and then as somebody commented, does like 13 consecutive different handshakes with every guy on the team.
Oh, seriously?
He's got a different handshake.
With each guy?
With every single guy.
I don't think we talked about that yet.
It would be funny to know how long that actually took to develop. And it's like he knows all of them like the back of his hand, no pun intended. It's hilarious to watch. But we hopefully will have him, and hopefully he's got another few years left. Other people are hoping we can alternate the rest of the season between J.J. McCarthy and KOC. Oh, man, it's just... I was really hoping... A lot of viciousness. If Brosmer had played a little better, or, a lot better, and all of a sudden got the job, we probably could have had Brosmer on weekly. That's a good point. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he's going to get the ball again for a while. No, the head coach said as much today that... JJ's symptom-free, and he will be the starting quarterback for better. I wonder if we can have... Until the next injury. That's true. Maybe you have a third bottom 10 DVOA games before this season's done. I rule nothing out. Who are we playing next? Washington. I don't know much about their defense, to be honest with you, but we'll find out. So Adam Thielen is welcome anytime, but he's not going to join us next, we don't think. Jonny Athletic is scheduled next. Ben Lieber will join at his usual time, 4:47, and we have a plethora of Vikings talking points, and, of course, it will be a major part of today's conversation. So stay with us. We'll be back in just a couple minutes right here in the Fan.
It's time for Jonny Athletic, Jonny Athletic, Jonny Athletic. And he's on with Dan Barreiro right now.
It is indeed that time again. Well, you say hi to Johnny real quick, will you? Or can you actually pot him up? Because I forgot the phone's a little bit too far away from my location, and now we're starting. I want to look something up here as we say hi to John Athletic here early. I should have been better prepared for this segment, but... these things, that's how they happen sometimes, the best way to look at it. All right, I'm going to the Athletic website. You familiar with the Athletic website, Guardsy? I read it this morning. I love that website. You enjoy it? I have multiple subscriptions. Still do, don't you? I'm scrolling down. It might be hard to find. See if I can find the... Oh, here it is. Yeah, so, one of the things I think everybody in the Twin Cities looks forward to is the back and forth conversation that takes place every Friday between Alec Lewis and John Athletic, where they kind of chew the fat on the Vikings' next matchup. What a pair! I'd love to see a video of that. They're very, very Abbott and Costello like, and damn it, I can't even rip them. I just scrolled down to the prediction segment part, and I wanted to think that Johnny had the Vikings making the game close. But he's smarter than I am, because I did think the Vikings would beat the spread. I continue to have the worst season I've ever had in our prediction segment. Johnny had the Seahawks winning by 13, and Alec Lewis had the Seahawks winning 31-13. You had it 27-14. But Johnny, I don't know if I can even give you credit for it, because even as you make the prediction, look at the way you say it. Barring an unexpectedly sharp performance from Brosmer against a top-flight defense. So you're hedging your bet. Well, if that were you then, if it was a close game, say, well, I did mention if Brosmer is top-notch, then it'd be a close game.
No, I mean, the score is the score. I think that does the talking for me. And what I was trying to say there was that I don't foresee Brosmer coming, to the rescue with some sort of unexpectedly sharp performance. But I was trying to think of scenarios that could produce a compelling game, a closer than expected game. And there just wasn't any other than Brosmer pulling the rabbit out of the hat. Yeah. And I just didn't see that happening. So that's why I settled on the score that I did. I feel pretty good about the prediction. I probably should have gone farther. Alec Lewis went a little further than I did. But yeah, it was just really hard for me to see anything play out that, I didn't expect it to be that embarrassing, but I was expecting a pretty thorough whipping by the Seahawks to your favorite ball club.
I guess the mystery would be how either one of you thought that the Vikings would score in double digits on the basis of what we saw.
My gosh.
I mentioned earlier that I am not quite as religious on Max Brosmer as the producer of this program, but I have liked him all along. And I said Sunday, I have a pretty vivid imagination when it comes to negativity, as you know, but I can't say I saw that coming. I honestly didn't. I didn't think he was going to be great, but I thought, it's not going to be as bad as it was the week before. Maybe even the last several weeks with J.J. McCarthy. I honestly thought, even under those conditions, that, he'll probably be, if not borderline serviceable, a little less than that. So I can't say I saw it coming to that degree because, again, it can't really, whether it's eye test or all the analytic numbers, it really can't be much worse than it was for the Vikings offense and their starting quarterback on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, if you do want to rip me, which I know that you like to do, I was on your program last week, and I believe my quote was, I don't see how it can be worse than it has been with J.J. McCarthy, because McCarthy was historically bad.
Yes.
Through his 6 starts in this in his first season here, and literally 800 and some quarterbacks ahead of him on all of these different analytic charts and things like that. So that's why I did kind of give the Vikings 14 points. Was I did think that Max Brosmer was going to come in and at least be not ridiculously bad, and he was ridiculously bad. And I mean, that is kind of where all of the calls for KOC earlier at different parts saying you get Brosmer in, McCarthy can't do it. Well, maybe Max Brosmer couldn't do it either. And there was just nothing there at all from Brosmer, nothing from the offensive line. Addison's dropping passes, all of those things, but Max Brosmer was worse than J.J. McCarthy, and I just didn't think that was possible.
No, it was, and the play call, the 4th and 1 call, has been dissected a lot, and will be one of our Vikings talking points today. But if your whole calling card as an option is may not have great physical tools, may not have, at the combine, I'm not going to wow anybody with any of the test scores. But what I am is really smart and really calm and really composed. Well, that's clearly not the case, because, at least in that moment, because if he is all of that or was all of that, you take the sack, right? You absolutely take the sack. Yeah. You don't do kind of, and this is a dated reference that only the old people will know, a Garo Yepremian sort of approach where you're kind of trying to hold on to the ball and then flip it and move it around or whatever the case may be that ended up in the pick six. That to me was as much an indictment of him regarding what we all thought were his strengths as the play call itself, which was indefensible.
Yeah, it was just a mind-numbing brain fart of a play from Max Brosmer. And it just as I was watching the whole game unfold, and that play in particular as well, I was thinking back and just very quickly, I don't know, maybe 7-8 years ago, the Timberwolves played the Memphis Grizzlies in the preseason, and Karl Anthony Towns absolutely worked Marc Gasol up and down the court, just destroyed him. And I'm like, hey, man, Marc Gasol is cooked. This is over for him. And I think he won Defensive Player of the Year that year. And that's to say, the preseason for NFL, NBA, whatever, is such a different world from the regular season that it's almost not even worth comparing it. I mean, what the defense that Max Brosmer saw was on another planet from what he was seeing in the preseason when you said, hey, this guy's throwing with anticipation. He looks calm in the pocket. Things are going well. Well, when you get into the regular season, it's a whole different animal, man. And I think that Mr. Brosmer discovered that in Seattle on Sunday.
There's no question about that. This came in from Todd. JJ's overthrow airmail, Brosmer's overblown fairy tale, KOC's turkey jive cocktail, Wolves and 5. It's pretty well played.
Turkey jive cocktail. That's brilliant.
That's about as apt a description to some of the things he had to say again today. And I think my guess is you fell for it. You guys swoon over his alleged transparency and accountability and kind of going pelf on the bit. Like, hey, it's my bad on the 4th and 1. He hasn't learned. The idea that now he's learned something that he didn't know already, I just don't believe, because we've been here to varying degrees before a bunch of times, Johnny, and I just don't think he's got it in him. I think he's always going to be that guy who wants to airmail the ball. He's proven it over and over again. Forget these quarterbacks. He did it when Pasternaut was his quarterback. He tried to call a game like he had Peyton Manning in his prime. And it just, I think it's a blind spot that he's never going to get over. I don't think there's any reason. I don't trust him on this anymore now than I ever have, because I feel like, again, to varying degrees, he's allegedly had these pelf moments and said, now I get it. Now I got to worry less about what the tape shows about. Well, this should be open on this play. And I have to worry more about, was my team or my quarterback capable of making those kinds of plays under these circumstances?
Yeah, I think that it's just in his nature, in his DNA, as a coach, as a play caller, as everything. He wants to flex on the opponent. He wants to show how creative he is. He wants to show how much he's been scouting the defense and these elaborate plays and these exotic trick plays and doing the thing that you don't think he's going to do on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, those types of things. That's very much part of the Kevin O'Connell ethos. And it has bitten him over and over again, especially when he is seemingly not really recognizing that all of this imagination that he has, the players that he has in place are incapable of executing that. And to me, that is job number one of a head coach,
yes,
is to understand your personnel, their limitations, their strengths, all of the above, and then coach to that. You cannot be dogmatic toward a system if your system is too complicated for the very, very, very young quarterbacks you are putting out there. And today, kind of what he said, like he had no other choice, Dan. If he got up there and said, nope, this is the right thing to do, like it just really would have gone poorly coming off such an embarrassing performance. But the actions have to now back up those words, because he's got to understand that he is working with a remedial offense right now, not a college placement AP offense, and he's got to tailor his approach and his game plan for that.
You know how the system works in not just the National Football League, but in any sport. If the team is enjoying a successful stretch, or has a good record, or is having a great season, it's much easier to sort of minimize or gloss over or put off for a moment or two some of the nagging concerns long-term that still exist, right? Because you're going, well, look at the record. I mean, they're finding a way to rise above whatever those concerns are that you or I might have. On the other hand, when it goes the way it has for the Vikings this year, what are we sitting at now? 4-8. All of those same nagging concerns become dominant in the conversation. Example, it's item number 1 from Mark Craig's, what does he call it? His top 5, his 5 extra points regarding the Vikings general manager. He lays out that sustained success isn't possible when your GM gets lapped by his peers annually in the draft, throwing $300 million at other teams' aging free agents, can't replace building core starters and quality depth among players entering their prime at 3 to 5 years, or generally, as he writes, ages 23 to 26. Vikings have 4 players, 4 on their roster, who were drafted 3 to 5 years ago, 1 from the last year under Rick Spielman, and 3 from the first 2 years under Kwesi. 2 are regular starters, Darisaw and Jordan Addison. As for the rest of the NFC North, the Packers have 18 players and 12 starters who they drafted from 2021 to 23. The Lions have 13 players and 11 starters, and the Bears have 6 players and 5 starters. Obviously not sustainable, and if you're the Wilfs, you're going, hold on a second. You told me we're going to paper over all this stuff. If we kept opening our wallets to let you make these big free agency signings, and it ain't getting papered over as well or at all, and the tickets now coming due, because each year that goes by without us getting this homegrown talent the way the other teams do is another year. Ultimately, it's going to catch up with us, and the chickens are going to come home to roost.
Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword right now for Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, and when you look at the job, evaluate the job that he's done, because number one, you're right. Like, if you are going to miss on draft picks, you don't want to miss on draft picks, but if you are going to, you better hit in free agency. Now, they hit 2 years ago with Cashman, with those guys, and made those signings. I was like, okay, this is good, and that buys you a little time. They have not hit this year. And when you don't hit in free agency, it's almost a double miss because of all the money you're outlaying. And you're getting guys come in who are underperforming, like most of the free agent signings that they made this year, with Kelly getting hurt and Fry's just being okay, and Jonathan Allen and Hargrave, like, what do you do with them? And so you have that problem. The second problem, and I think the much bigger thing to discuss here, is that right now, as it stands, with where the Vikings are at, with a relatively starless defense, with an offense that doesn't have a quarterback, and with many questions on the offensive line and all over the place, it is ripe for a rebuild, ripe for kind of trying to get younger, tear it down, start over. Maybe in a year or two you get back into it, especially with where the Lions and the Packers and the Bears are all at in this division. But do you trust Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah to do that rebuild? Because he's missed so many times in the draft, and that is where a rebuild has to start and has to sustain. So there are some very, very difficult questions that are going to be asked here down the stretch about not only what the Vikings do for the next 6 weeks, but what they do for the next 2 years, and what is their plan to dig out of this massive hole that they seem to be in this division.
RBC Wealth Management brings, I should say, Jonny Athletic to our listeners each and every week. We appreciate their fine loyalty. This goes back to yesterday morning. I'd not heard whether any of the local jackals had responded to this or had an opinion or a thought on it. But apparently, one of the tweeters had tweeted at me in the morning that Teddy Bruschi, you familiar with him on NFL Countdown?
I am, yes.
He's suggesting that he suggested Kevin O'Connell is done with JJ, that public dissection of fundamentals with JJ insinuates the kid can't do it, and that KOC wanted to keep Sam Darnold. Now, the last part is what intrigued me the most, because and again, it's all after the fact at this point. I know there was disagreement in the building on what to do there or how far to go to try to satisfy Darnold with, obviously, you got your quarterback in waiting. But it's very difficult for me to believe that in this organization right now, KOC doesn't get what KOC wants. So you tell me, though, had you heard anything like what Bruschi had said, making it sound like that if it was up to KOC, they would have found some way, somehow, to keep Darnold, even if it meant slowing the clock or even, not being able to start the clock on J.J. McCarthy?
So I personally have not heard that directly or that overtly. But what I can say is that throughout the offseason, both with Sam Darnold and then also especially with Aaron Rodgers and the purported dalliance or at least consideration that the Vikings were giving to Aaron Rodgers, all of that indicated, and the Athletic reported this at the time and was, Vikings fans did not want to hear it, but there was real interest and real discussion about Aaron Rodgers because there was some concern, in part because there's some concern that maybe J.J. McCarthy wasn't quite ready yet. Missed the year, really young, didn't have a lot of starts under his belt at Michigan. Like, there was a lot of questioning about whether McCarthy was truly ready for this. And Vikings fans didn't want to hear that. Some Viking fanboys on Twitter didn't want to hear that. But that's the reality of the situation inside that building. And so the question, or the thing that's going to be difficult now as this thing really crumbles, is there's probably going to be some revisionist history as this thing really falls apart, if it does continue to fall apart, if McCarthy does really continue to struggle. And there will be people that maybe change their tune a little bit of, I always wanted Darnold.
Right.
Or, we should have done this, and absolutely right, and this guy made the wrong decision, and fingers will be starting to point, and it will be messy behind the scenes, assuming that the embarrassments keep coming and that, maybe the hammer starts to fall on some people. So I would just be a little reluctant to take anything at really face value right now, given this. But we did report this last summer, before all this really did start to fall apart, that there were at least some question marks about it. And those were in the building, and divisions in the building as well.
One Wolves question today, and next time we'll probably go a little bit more in depth, because there's going to be only so much to I think assess regarding the Vikings moving forward. The rest of what is now pretty much a lame duck kind of a season. You wrote a lengthy piece just within the last week or two, basically saying, boys and girls, Anthony Edwards is the point guard of this team. So the question on the table for me is, do you believe they've gone that route because they want to in their heart of hearts, or do you believe among the available options right now, they view it as the best one?
Yeah, I think it's more of necessity, Dan,
yep.
Because I don't think that in Chris Finch's perfect world, I think that Ant is a little more off the ball.
Yep.
There isn't so much on his shoulders from a quarterbacking, scoring, decision-making, keep your turnovers down, all of that aspect, especially with what you're asking for him on defense. But with Rob Dillingham not really developing as quickly as some people hoped, with Mike Conley showing his age in some respects, they have gone to this heliocentric offense because it gives them their best chance. Now, there's also some variance that they invite with that, because Ant is still learning this part of it. It is a new role. There are going to be games where he does it really, really effectively, and they play really well. And then there are going to be games where he struggles. Just yesterday, he had 6 turnovers in the first half, and it wasn't going well. And then Finchie turns to a lineup without Rudy and without Ant to start the fourth quarter, and they're moving the ball, and it's wonderful. So there are growing pains with this right now. But I think they will stick with it because there's not a great long-term option in-house right now for them otherwise.
Yeah, it probably was their best victory of the season. And frankly, with the way they played defense first half, I didn't see it coming. It was to me, I mean, the point totals that I feel like San Antonio Davy was approaching 50 points, like with 9 minutes to go, or 60 points, like 9 minutes to go in the second quarter, something that ridiculous. And then the rest of the game was a completely different story. So when we have more time, we'll break more things down and see if there's any hot, juicy rumors on potential point guards that we might be eyeing. I know that kind of speculation you live for and you love, especially when it's internet generated, but that's never stopped us before.
I can't wait for that, Dan. It'll be a good conversation as Christmas approaches.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
We'll talk soon. That is Jonny Athletic. If you put him on hold, Guardsy, thank you very much. We do have some outstanding Vikings talking points that Guardsy has put together with a little bit of a suggestion or two from me. And we have Ben Lieber coming up at 4:47. We have an open invitation to Adam Thielen, who's been our 3:30 guest for this entire season. Adam, of course, asked to be released. The Vikings granted him that wish. That was announced earlier today. And we've got calls in to Adam. And if at some point he's willing or interested in coming on, we'll be glad to have him on, at least for exit interview purposes as well. We'll finish this hour with Clayton from Rochester. KOC, the Purple Pelf. Does Guardsy have an athletic sweatshirt on his shelf? Will Jets tell the purple to go bleep yourself? Vikings in 5. Or Vikings win 5. Be the better way, as Clayton put it. How many wins we at right now?
4.
Oof. 5 might be the most we can hope for. Perhaps 6. Now, though, we're going to get into that bit of we don't want to win games because we want a higher draft choice.
Exactly right.
Wow, how things have changed.